The good news for Christian Ullmann fans is that he has now extended his lead on the overall championship standings. He now has a 34-point lead over Ben Mayer in second place. But take nothing away from Ben Mayer and Explosion having very little jumping time in the ring in 2022 for this incredible horse to come back in to a five-star Grand Prix stage and jump double clear in round 1 and round 2 is simply sensational. He may have finished the jump off in 4th place, but the mere fact with such little game time under his belt that Explosion, along with Ben Mayer, is able to compete with the in-form riders on this stage already. We've seen Celtic HB perform exceptionally well, and now with Explosion returning into the mix, Ben Mayer in second place already on the overall championship standings will be a thorn in the side of this man, Christian Ullmann. 0.11 seconds faster than Henrik von Ackermann. That is all that separated the two men today, and that turn from 1 to 2 in particular. Frederick de Backer will be chomping at the bit to unpack that for you in this week's coming Lgct Grand Prix analysis as we go down to the winners ceremony. Marcus Eining taking the provisional lead very early on Stargold, stopping the clock at 35.87. Held on to that lead for quite some time. And unfortunately for the German veteran, he gets onto the podium once more, but will feel that he is not on the right seat in that podium. Number 2, Henrik von Ackermann, King Edward, the Swede, to a huge response and a huge applause from the Swedish crowd, going on to second place. And here is your winner, Christian Ullmann. Now I'll do the anthem.
The Longines Global Champion.
And for the 6th time in 8 stages, the German Grand Prix, or the German National Anthem, I beg your pardon, plays after a Longines Global Champions Tour Grand Prix. From Ludger Bierbaum's 2 victories, Katrin Ackermann, of course, Christian Ullmann now twice, Daniel Deusser as well. The Lgct 2022 season continues to be German influenced. And alongside Ullmann is yet another German superstar, a German veteran and a German folk hero in Marcus Eining, who finishes in 3rd place tonight. Henrik von Ackermann, the Swede, as we mentioned, blowing the roof off of the Olympic Stadium tonight. Obviously, the home fans would have wanted him to win, but seeing him on the podium is still a very special occasion. And then Jan Tops, the founder and president, shaking the hand of Henrik von Ackermann as we now await Christian Ullmann to receive his trophy, to receive his medal, and to receive, of course, more championship points. What it means for him in the long run here is that he now moves to 188 championship points, 34 clear of Ben Mayer, who's now down on 154, as Christian Ullmann receives his 2nd Longines timepiece of the season. One Lgct Grand Prix victory this year already. Now this is 2. And Christian Allman is going to have a very handy collection of Longines watches by the end of the season. That is for sure. Already at the Lgct Super Grand Prix, that golden ticket will now go to Henrik van Ackermann, who had to wait until the second week of Chamorin last year, the very last event of the year, to get his ticket to the Prague Super Grand Prix. And now he'll probably be feeling quite relieved that he is able to tick that box as early as the 8th event of the year. The fans at the Olympic Stadium have been outstanding all weekend long. True horsemen and women, real fans of show jumping, as the fireworks behind a rather nervous-looking Christian Allman go off. Celebrating the winners tonight, your top 3 finishers in this Longines Global Champions Tour Grand Prix of Stockholm. And it looks as if Henrik van Ackermann has indeed already got his bottle of champagne out. Very sneaky, wasting no time. And Marcus Eining essentially dumps his entire bottle over the face and body of Christian Allman, who is getting quite used to these champagne showers as well. A lovely moment for the 2 Germans as Allman tries to exact revenge on Marcus Eining and use what is left in his bottle on Henrik van Ackermann. Great scenes in Stockholm tonight as Christian Allman smiles on the faces of our top 3 and the fireworks exploding over the Olympic Stadium as we bring to an end stage 8 of the Longines Global Champions Tour season, as we now move ahead through a very busy patch of 3 back-to-back events. And this will continue to give massive momentum to Christian Allman as his dreams and pursuit of becoming an Lgct overall champion will continue to strengthen with each and every competition. Let's take you through some of the major moments of tonight's event, of tonight's jump-off. Marcus Eining in the jump-off, the very first man out the gate on Stargold. Always difficult position to be in. First man out, being as aggressive and as quick as we know Marcus Eining to be. Ober Fabergé now making his way through here, really starting to push Stargold. And on this rollback, getting incredibly tight. Eining continuing to press once more into the old townhouses here, setting the split time. Getting into that final line here after the Longines fence and really pressing to the finish line, stopping the clock at 35.87. And it was a time that proved to be very competitive for the rest of the field. 35.87 for Marcus Eining. What followed was Max Kuhne, who did not beat the time. Jens Fredriksson, the older brother of Peder Fredriksson, unable to beat the time. And then Ben Meyer and Explosion followed. A lot of excitement and a lot of interest around this pair. As we mentioned, Explosion getting back into the mix after missing a lot of time in the year competing at this level, to be able to come back into the mix, jump clear in round 2 of the Global Champions League, to jump clear in round 1 of the Grand Prix, and then again to go clear in the jump-off, eventually going on to stop the clock at 37.16. It was not fast enough to take away the provisional lead from Marcus Eining, but at this point of the season, knowing that Faltic HB has performed so exceptionally well already, Ben Meyer in second place on the overall championship standings will be feeling that a performance like this from Explosion will be giving him really good signs and good feelings going into the rest of the season, because with those performances, he will be feeling as if he can really push Christian Allman all the way to the end of the season down to Riyadh. And will he finally be able to win his 3rd Lgct overall championship? When will he be able to get the 12th and equal that record held by Scott Brash? The season in this form feels as if it could well be there for Ben Meyer. Now, Christian Allman, as we mentioned, eventually then coming out on Dominator. And let's remind you that he will be in our Way to the Top episode this coming week. So we'll find out more already from tonight's champion, Christian Allman and Dominator, coming out looking to try and make it 2 wins in a season, already holding on to the championship leading armband. That is that armband, that white Longines armband that he is wearing on his left arm. He knew that simply by getting into the jump-off, he was going to put himself in a really good position to hold on to that lead. And as the jump-off continued, as Dominator started to flex his muscle with aggressive rollbacks, and we had seen there the turn from 1 to 2, it started to feel as if this might once again be the day for Christian Ahlmann, approaching the final line and eventually stopping the clock at 35.69. It was enough to take the lead away from Marcus Eining, and with just one rider to go, all that stood between Christian Ahlmann and another Lgct Grand Prix victory tonight was that of Henrik von Ackermann. Now already your Super Grand Prix winner of 2021 knew that at home, in front of his Swedish fans, he wanted to set the record straight. He wanted to go head-to-head with Dominator and with Christian Ahlmann and win tonight's Grand Prix. Let's show you what happened in his jump-off as he came out looking to try and take the trophy right at the death. The final man out of the gate, knowing that Christian Ahlmann, Ben Meyer, Jans Fredriksson, Max Kuhne and Marcus Eining had all gone before him. The time to beat was 35.69 seconds. King Edward so good around the track, and in particular a really aggressive start from him as he came up to the old townhouses here on the split. He was just ever so slightly behind at 0.07 seconds. He then tried to push, knowing that he needed to move up in these final few lines, eventually stopping the clock at 35.8, 0.11 seconds slower than Christian Ahlmann. It meant that victory went the way of the German, but the golden tickets to the Lgct Super Grand Prix in Prague this year now goes to Henrik von Ackermann. He will be competing in that Super Grand Prix later on this year in Prague, and he will know that he will have an opportunity to go on and compete and retain his Super Grand Prix title. What a weekend it has been in Stockholm, from the GCL success earlier on from the Stockholm Hearts to now an Lgct title #2 for the year for Christian Ahlmann. Let's bring up the tables and show you how things look now with regards to this weekend in particular. Christian Ahlmann finishing on top in front of Henrik von Ackermann and Marcus Eining, making up your podium in 1, 2 and 3. Ben Meyer an explosion in 4th, Max Kuhne 5th, Jans Fredriksson in 6th, and Derek Kenny not making into the jump-off. We'll show you the overall championship standings now. Christian Ahlmann extending his lead. He now moves to 188. That is 34 points clear of Ben Meyer on 154. Peter de Vos in 3rd, Niels Breinseels in 4th, and Gilles Thomas, an early front runner, now starting to lose some ground. Derek Kenny, Fernando Martinez Soma and Spencer Smith making up 6, 7 and 8. Now, joining us on the show, we'll be chatting to Marcus Eining, a man who made it onto the podium once again on the Lgct Grand Prix stage. Marcus Eining, thank you for joining us on the show tonight. Always a very difficult position to be, first man out the gate. How did you feel coming out the gate first?
Yeah, actually I felt very good. My horse actually deserved to win today, but the rider stopped him a few tenths too much.
What was the rider doing? Why did the rider stop him? What did the rider get wrong today, Marcus?
Yeah, I must say it was, I think, a very, very fast jump off. The turn 1 to 2 was okay, but I really had to wait for the second jump. The 6 was 5. I was very fast in the double. There was one less to the next vertical, but okay, at the end it was very close. And first of all, I'm very happy with my horse, how he improved, and to be on the podium is not so bad.
Of course not. It's a wonderful achievement, Marcus. Do you think, looking back now in your mind, were there any lines that you could have been quicker in? Where do you think perhaps you lost it?
I'm pretty sure I could do easy one less to the third last vertical after the double. So that would be enough to win the class.
And the season is still long. Marcus Eining, we would like to see you in the Super Grand Prix in Prague. A podium is great, but perhaps your fans will be hoping that we will see you on top of the podium. So good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you very much.
We look forward to seeing more of Marcus Eining. Always so good to have him in these Lgct Grand Prix. Third position on the podium today. So incredibly proud of Stargold. But he does suggest heading into that third final fence that perhaps he could have removed the stride, taken some time off the clock and shaved some moments, shaved some fractions, shaved some split seconds off that time of 35.87. Marcus Eining on the podium once again on an Lgct Grand Prix stage. Let's bring up the head-to-head and show you just how and where Christian Allman and the second place rider, Henrik van Ackerman, were able to go so close. If you think about it now, it was this turn of Allman from 1 to 2 that just looked so aggressive and really beat Henrik van Ackerman and King Edward to that other line. Now, all of a sudden, King Edward starts to open up and really starts to press. He puts pressure on Christian Allman here and is actually tighter on the rollback, yet Allman still gets through the combination quicker. Now, as they turn into the old townhouses, this is where van Ackerman found himself 0.07 seconds slower. With so little between the two men, it's into this final line. That Dominator and Christian Allman are just fractionally faster, and is able to go on and win by 0.11 seconds. And that is something that Frederik de Backer will unpack for us in far more detail in this coming week's episode of the Lgct Grand Prix analysis. But as it stands now, Marcus Eining in third, Henrik van Ackerman in second place. And as we said, Christian Allman and Dominator going on to win tonight's Grand Prix, his second of the season, having already booked his ticket to the GC playoffs in Prague and the Lgct Super Grand Prix. It now means that that ticket goes to Henrik van Ackerman. He had to wait an incredibly long time in 2021 to get that golden ticket. In fact, he secured that golden ticket at the very last event of the year in Chamorin. And finally now, after just 8 events, he's already able to tick that box, know that he'll be able to defend his title. Henrik van Ackerman will be going to the Lgct Super Grand Prix in Prague. If you've just joined us, you've missed a lot of show jumping action. You have missed a lot to try and unpack, and we will continue to do that for you here throughout the rest of the week on GCTV with our way to the top and Christian Allman, with the Insider coming up this Monday as we now look back on the GCL stage. And as mentioned, Frederik de Backer looking back at the Lgct Grand Prix analysis, where he'll get to unpack this, unpack Uliane Vizani, and unpack just how and where Christian Allman was able to go on and win tonight's Grand Prix. So, where do we go from here? We say good night and we say thank you for joining us. Please do stay with us here on GCTV. A lot more to come your way. Thank you for staying with us. Thank you for enjoying all of the action. And we'll see you again for round 9 here on GCTV. We'll see you again soon. Good night.